Welcome to Globewise Entertainment, where we dig deep into the hidden, shocking, and sometimes downright disturbing corners of Hollywood history. If you love uncovering the untold stories behind cult classics, lost films, and the dark side of the entertainment world, you're in the right place. Today we're diving into a twisted era of cinema with depraved 90s exploitation films Hollywood tried to bury. These are the films so extreme and controversial that major studios worked hard to erase them from public memory. From brutal gorefests to boundary-pushing shockers, we'll explore the movies that dared to go where few others would, and the reasons why Hollywood wanted them buried deep underground. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button now so you don't miss out on our deep dives into Hollywood's darkest secrets. And after watching, let us know in the comments, which exploitation movie from the 90s shocked or fascinated you the most? We want to hear your thoughts. Now, let's get into the depraved world of 90s exploitation cinema. 1. Kids, 1995. The raw pulse of a lost generation. In the gritty underbelly of 1990s New York City, kids burst onto the scene like a raw wound refusing to heal. Directed by Larry Clark and written by Harmony Korine, this unflinching verite-style drama pulled back the curtain on a subculture of reckless teenagers engaging in sex, drugs, and violence, all without the safety net of consequences or hope. The film follows a day in the life of Telly, a charismatic but dangerously careless teenager who unwittingly spreads HIV to his friends, and Jenny, a young girl trying to navigate adolescence in a world that's already broken. With no sugarcoating or Hollywood gloss, Kids shocked audiences with its candid depiction of youth exposed to a toxic cocktail of nihilism, peer pressure, and apathy. Upon release, Kids ignited fierce controversy. Critics and parents condemned its explicit scenes and perceived glamorization of depravity, demanding censorship and bans. Hollywood studios distanced themselves, wary of associating with such a raw, unsettling portrait of youth. Yet, despite the backlash, Kids left an undeniable mark. It became a cult classic that forced a conversation about teen culture, public health, and the unseen dangers lurking in urban life. Buried by Hollywood's mainstream, it survives as a haunting time capsule, a depraved mirror reflecting the lost souls of the 90s. 2. Gummo, 1997. A bizarre portrait of depravity lost in time. In the dusty, forgotten town of Xenia, Ohio, devastated years earlier by a tornado, life unfolds in a chaotic swirl of decay and despair. Gummo is not your typical movie. It's a raw, disjointed collage of shocking images and bizarre characters, captured through the eyes of troubled youth who have nothing left to lose. Harmony Korine's debut film dives deep into the grotesque underbelly of rural America, showcasing scenes that blur the line between reality and nightmare. Boys wandering with cats on strings, a blind man smoking cigarettes, eccentric outcasts engaging in odd rituals and disturbing acts. When Gummo premiered, Hollywood found it too depraved, too aimless, and too unsettling to market. There was no traditional plot, no heroic arc, only a bleak, nihilistic snapshot of lost innocence and societal abandonment. Critics and audiences were polarized. Some praised its raw honesty, others condemned its vulgarity. The film was buried by mainstream distributors but found cult status on VHS and later DVD, whispered about among cinephiles hungry for cinema that dared to confront the darkest corners of human experience. Gummo remains a grim time capsule of 90s exploitation, a film Hollywood tried to forget, but that still haunts the underground. 3. Naked Lunch, 1991. Typewriters that breathe. Insects that spy. A mind unraveling on junk. In a decade already grappling with the blurring lines between reality and hallucination, David Cronenberg's Naked Lunch arrived like a fever dream no one asked for, and few could fully comprehend. Based loosely on William S. Burroughs' infamously unfilmable novel, the movie dared to blend beatnik literature, Kafkaesque horror, body mutation, and hardcore drug hallucinations. We follow Bill Lee, an exterminator-turned-writer who accidentally kills his wife during a William Tell routine, a scene disturbingly close to the real-life Burroughs tragedy. From there he spirals into Interzone, a surreal otherworld filled with morphine addiction, talking typewriters made of bug flesh, and interspecies espionage. Mainstream audiences? Horrified. Critics? Divided. The MPA? Confused, ultimately granting it an R rating despite pleas to slap it with an NC-17. Even Burroughs himself admitted the film was less an adaptation and more a manifestation of his inner demons. Despite its prestige cast and art house presentation, Hollywood quietly buried Naked Lunch. It was too strange, too grotesque, too cerebral. A film drenched in psychosexual paranoia and insecticide fumes. But in the underground it thrived. A cult relic for cinephiles and literary outlaws alike. This wasn't just cinema. This was a confession, typed in blood through the jaws of a bug. 4. Natural Born Killers, 1994. A depraved media frenzy. In the roaring chaos of the 1990s, Natural Born Killers burst onto screens like a violent psychedelic bomb. Directed by Oliver Stone, the film was a brutal satire about America's obsession with violence and the media's obsession with glorifying it. Mickey and Mallory Knox, a young couple drenched in blood and chaos, embarked on a nationwide killing spree that captivated and horrified the nation. The film's style was unlike anything Hollywood had dared before. Rapid cuts, surreal visuals, wildly shifting film stocks, and a pounding soundtrack created a dizzying sensory overload. But Natural Born Killers was more than just gore and mayhem. It tore apart the way violence was packaged and sold to the public, showing how media sensationalism can turn monsters into celebrities. Its graphic scenes and provocative message made it a lightning rod for controversy. Some blamed the film for inspiring copycat crimes, sparking fierce debates over censorship and responsibility. Hollywood studios, nervous about lawsuits and backlash, demanded cuts, but even the censored version retained its raw, unrelenting edge. The film was buried by some distributors and heavily criticized by mainstream critics, yet it found a cult following among those hungry for films that dared to confront the darkest sides of American culture. Natural Born Killers remains a depraved relic of the 90s, a film that Hollywood tried to bury but couldn't silence. 5. Crash, 1996. A deadly obsession with desire and death. In the mid-90s, director David Cronenberg dared to dive into the darkest corners of human desire with Crash, a film that shocked audiences and critics alike. Based on J.G. Ballard's controversial novel, Crash explored an underground cult of people who find sexual pleasure in car crashes, the violent collisions that blur the line between pain, death, and ecstasy. The film's explicit scenes of fetishized injury and taboo relationships were too much for many theaters and distributors. Several countries outright banned it, while in the United States it was rated NC-17, severely limiting its commercial release. Critics were divided. Some hailed it as a bold exploration of alienation and technology's dark side, while others condemned it as depraved and repulsive. Hollywood studios distanced themselves from the film, fearing backlash and negative publicity. Crash became an underground cult classic, whispered about in late-night film circles and passed around on VHS and DVD, among curious cinephiles willing to confront its disturbing vision. Despite its grim reception, Crash left a lasting mark on 90s cinema. It forced viewers to question the boundaries of sexuality, violence, and the human obsession with death, a taboo that mainstream Hollywood was unwilling to touch. To this day, it remains one of the most notorious and depraved films Hollywood quietly tried to bury. 6. Man Bites Dog, 1992. In the bleak shadows of early 90s Europe, a chilling mockumentary surfaced that blurred the lines between fiction and reality. Man Bites Dog follows a cold-blooded serial killer named Ben as he coldly murders his way through a nameless Belgian town. But the twist? The entire nightmare unfolds through the lens of a documentary crew that doesn't just film his crimes. They actively participate. Shot in grainy black and white, the film's raw, unfiltered style pulls viewers into an unsettling world where morality is shattered. The filmmaker's detachment slowly morphs into complicity, challenging the audience to confront their own voyeurism. Every brutal act is captured with unnerving intimacy, making the film impossible to ignore and even harder to stomach. When Man Bites Dog premiered, it ignited furious debates about exploitation, ethics, and the power of media. Some called it a daring critique of violence and sensationalism, while others condemned it as glorifying brutality. Due to its graphic content and disturbing subject matter, many theaters refused to screen it, and Hollywood studios distanced themselves, effectively burying this dark gem in the underground film vault. Yet, despite the backlash, Man Bites Dog carved out a lasting cult legacy, still haunting viewers and filmmakers who dare to explore the darkest corners of human nature. 7. Romper Stomper, 1992. A violent glimpse into hate and rage. In the gritty suburbs of Melbourne, Australia, a volatile gang of neo-Nazi skinheads rules the streets with brutality and unrestrained hatred. Led by the fierce and unpredictable Hando, the group thrives on chaos, spreading fear among immigrant communities and anyone who dares stand in their way. Their violent escapades are fueled by a toxic mix of nationalism, anger, and youthful rebellion. Romper Stomper doesn't sugarcoat its depiction of hatred. It dives headfirst into the depravity of racial violence, showing raw, brutal fights and the dark underbelly of extremist ideology. The film's unapologetic portrayal of racism and xenophobia made it a lightning rod for controversy. Critics and audiences alike were polarized, with many uncomfortable confronting the disturbing world it portrayed. Hollywood, wary of the film's bleak themes and the discomfort it stirred, largely distanced itself from Romper Stomper. The movie was buried from mainstream promotion, yet it found a cult following among underground audiences who saw it as a stark, unflinching look at society's darkest impulses. The film's legacy lives on as a chilling reminder of the destructive power of hate, a depraved piece of 90s exploitation cinema that Hollywood tried to forget, but can never fully erase. 8. Basmo, 1999. The controversial French shockwave. In the late 90s, just when audiences thought they'd seen it all, a French film titled Basmo, which translates crudely as Fuck Me, burst onto the underground scene with brutal force. Directed by Virginie Despentes and Coralie Trinity, this raw, unfiltered exploitation film combined graphic violence and unsimulated sex in a way that mainstream Hollywood simply couldn't stomach. The story follows two women, Nadine, a sex worker, and Manu, a young woman traumatized by rape, who embark on a wild, nihilistic road trip of revenge and destruction. Fueled by rage and despair, they kill and wreak havoc across France, shattering societal norms and cinematic taboos with every frame. Basmo was met with censorship worldwide. It was banned or heavily cut in several countries for its explicit content and unapologetic portrayal of female anger and sexuality. Hollywood, wary of such raw depravity and without the infrastructure to market such a film, quietly buried it, allowing it to become a cult underground legend instead. Yet Basmo remains a haunting snapshot of 90s exploitation cinema's rebellious spirit. Violent, explicit, and fiercely unyielding to conventional morality. 9. The Doom Generation, 1995. In a neon-lit, nihilistic America lost to violence and decay, three young souls, Amy, Jordan, and Xavier, embark on a twisted road trip from hell. What begins as a casual hookup between Amy and Jordan spirals into a dark odyssey of sex, bloodshed, and surreal chaos. The trio drifts through a nightmarish landscape where love is toxic, danger lurks at every turn, and death is just another party favor. The streets pulse with an electric menace, drenched in the era's grunge and vest glow. Jordan, the reckless bad boy with a knife in his pocket, leads the group deeper into madness. Xavier, the fragile outsider, is caught between desire and destruction. Amy, hardened and desperate, tries to hold them together as the world around them crumbles. Greg Araki's The Doom Generation isn't just a movie. It's a brutal love letter to youth's darkest impulses. Its hyper-violent scenes and raw sexuality scandalized audiences and critics alike, earning it a near-cult ban by Hollywood studios scared of its brutal honesty. But beneath the depravity, it reveals a haunting truth. In a world gone mad, survival is a savage game with no winners. 10. Necromantic II, 1991. In the early 90s, while Hollywood was dressing up violence with glossy thrillers and blockbuster bravado, a grim shadow lingered on the outskirts of cinema, one so dark, the industry pretended it didn't exist. At the heart of this underground was Necromantic II, a German exploitation film so disturbing, it was banned in its own country just days after release. The film picks up where its infamous predecessor left off, telling the story of a lonely nurse with a morbid obsession, digging up her dead lover and trying to build a normal relationship while clinging to her necrophilic desires. The film blurred the line between horror and art house, shocking even the most jaded viewers with its clinical detachment and grotesque imagery. Director Jörg Buttgereit didn't make Necromantic II to please Hollywood. He made it as a rebellion against censorship, conformity, and sanitized horror. But that defiance came at a cost. German authorities raided the distributor's office and confiscated copies like contraband, and whispers of the film's content kept it buried deep within the taboo vaults of extreme cinema. Though Necromantic II was never meant for the mainstream, its existence haunts the industry, a reminder that some films are too raw, too real, and too revolting for Hollywood to acknowledge. And that's exactly why they tried to bury it. Thanks for watching this deep dive into the depraved 90s exploitation films Hollywood tried to bury. If you found this video eye-opening or shocking, don't forget to like and share it with fellow film fans who love uncovering Hollywood's darkest secrets. If you haven't subscribed to Globewise Entertainment yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, so you never miss out on our exclusive stories, rare finds, and behind-the-scenes exposés from the world of movies and entertainment. Now I want to hear from you. Which 90s exploitation film shocked or fascinated you the most? Or is there a hidden cult movie you think deserves more attention? Drop your favorites and thoughts in the comments below. I'll be reading and replying to as many as I can. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the wild side of Hollywood with Globewise Entertainment.